In the rural village of Mangalpur, Savita found herself facing a reality that many families know too well. As a widow raising two sons, stretching every rupee wasn't just a habit, it was a survival strategy. When her boys reached adulthood, Savita was forced into a calculation with no easy answer. She had managed to save a small amount of capital, but it was only enough to invest in the education of one child. She chose to place her bet on her older son, Manav, who had always shown an interest in academics. Every available resource was funneled into sending him to a city college to earn a formal degree. This left the younger son, Atul, on a different path. Without the funds for a classroom, he was sent to work as an apprentice for a local village, Hawaii, learning the trade of a sweetmaker through manual labor. This sets up a tension that exists far beyond this one village. If you are denied a seat in the classroom, is your potential permanently capped, or can raw skill eventually bridge the gap? For the next few years, Manav followed the traditional script. He turned his college degree into a senior manager position at a large corporate food chain, securing a steady salary and a title. Meanwhile, Atul's education was happening in a kitchen. His world was built on repetition and physical memory, mastering the subtle chemistry of spices and precise textures of dough through hands-on practice. Looking at their progress over the same 3-year period, we see two different types of growth. Manav is climbing a vertical ladder of corporate titles, while Atul is horizontally accumulating a massive library of practical techniques. But as Manav moved the family to the city, his focus shifted. He began to see his brother's lack of a degree as a social liability. In Manav's eyes, Atul wasn't a craftsman. He was just a laborer who might embarrass him in front of his new peers. This created a hidden hierarchy within the home, where paper credentials were treated as the only valid measure of a person's worth. The breaking point arrived when Manav invited the owner of his restaurant chain to the house for dinner. This wasn't just a social visit, it was a calculated move to secure his next promotion. Manav was so worried about appearances that he gave Atul a strict instruction: stay in the kitchen and stay out of sight. He wanted the boss to see a professional manager, not a brother who worked as a village cook. Atul spent the day preparing a meal that contradicted everything Manav thought about him. He used his years of vocational training to curate a flawless 5-star experience, from the alignment of the cutlery to the balance of the flavors. The boss was stunned. He had spent his life in high-end dining, and he immediately recognized that the food on the table was far beyond the skill level of a typical home cook. Manav was pinning his professional future on the very skills he'd spent years hiding from the world. When the boss insisted on meeting the chef, Manav had no choice. He reluctantly brought Atul out of the kitchen, finally forced to acknowledge his brother's presence. Manav's first instinct was to apologize for Atul's background. He made sure to tell the boss that Atul had no formal training and had only worked for a small-town Hawaii. But the boss didn't care about the resume. He saw the result on the plate and immediately offered Atul a chance to audition for a head chef position at one of his restaurants. To Manav, the missing degree made Atul a servant. To the boss, the skill in the kitchen made him a candidate for leadership. Manav's ego couldn't handle the shift. If Atul could achieve an elite role without a degree, it threatened the very foundation of Manav's identity as the educated brother. For his official audition, Atul prepared a signature dish, dal bati chorma with an Italian twist. It was a visual and culinary proof of his self-taught mastery. Desperate to stop his brother, Manav went to the restaurant's line cooks. He secretly instructed them to dump extra salt and spice into Atul's dish just before it was served to the boss. Manav wasn't just protecting a promotion, he was protecting the belief that his degree made him inherently better. If talent alone could win, his expensive education lost its status. In that moment, the gap between the two brothers became clear. Manav knew how to manage a hierarchy, but he had no idea how to lead with integrity. The plan failed. Their mother had overheard the instructions Manav gave the cooks and warned the boss before the meal reached the table. The reaction was immediate. In an industry built on trust and execution, Manav's attempt to rig the results made him an instant liability. The boss fired him on the spot. But the most telling moment came from Atul. Instead of celebrating his brother's exit, he used his new standing with the boss to plead for Manav to be given a second chance, putting family ahead of his own professional leverage. A degree can certainly open a door, but as Manav and Atul show us, without the weight of practical competence and the foundation of moral character, the view from the top is incredibly fragile.